Hello, hello everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Wherever you are, however you doing. Let's see here. Turn on camera. Get out, ready to go. All right, coming back at you with another partial set review for Tarkir Dragonstorm. Uh, Going to try to rattle these off and get them done because the pre-release, from my understanding, was on the 4th, and the actual release on Magic the Gathering Arena will be tomorrow. Today's the 7th, so I just want to kind of get a completed thoughts out there so that I can come back and reflect on them afterwards, and maybe it'll be fun or funny to see how to see exactly how my predictions went on these cards. So without further ado, let's get on with the black portion of the set review. First off, here we have the Abzan Devotee. So this is the devotee of this flavor, of this tribe. So pay 1 to filter any color for the tribe. Okay, all of these are pretty good. They're 2/1s most of the time. So return this card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, this is actually a little bit better than the previous ones I think we've seen. Just a recursive threat, something that you will willingly be able to trade off and not really care too much about it. It's also in black. Black doesn't have too much fixing, so that's really good. You can play this black-green deck and fix for white if you need to. It'll be really nice. Or black-white deck, fix for green. Since you'll probably be leaning more towards a 2-color deck, splashing a third, instead of just being like a traditional full-on 3-color deck. I don't think that the fixing is going to be strong enough in most case scenarios to allow you to just go full 3-color. So this is probably going to be like this is just going to be a solid filler card. C-. We'll give it C, C-. I think all of these are about C, C-. They're all commons. They're not too strong. They're just good. This one might be the best just because of the recursive threat. So Adorned Crocodile, 4 and a black for a 5/3. When this creature dies, create a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token. Renew for 1 black. So exile this card from your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, activate only as a sorcery. So this is not bad. If you're trying to play some graveyard shenanigans, this seems really good because you could just potentially have a +1/+1 counter for a single black mana sitting in your graveyard. Could also trigger anything that says when an effect or ability or anything targets this creature. So if there's anything like that, you can also trigger that with it. When this creature dies, create a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token. So I do like cards that leave some kind of value behind. The issue is that if this card does get exiled or something like that, you don't get the token. I think this card's might be one of their better black commons. I mean, this seems really strong. Just off the get-go. The issue is it's 5 mana. You're going to be competing with a lot of stuff for this 5, 6, 7 mana slot because there's so many good bombs in the format. When you can play something like a 4/4 flyer for 4 that has ward on it, you know, you're looking at this card going, huh, is this even worth it? I'm going to go ahead and give this a C-. C. It's a good card. It's playable. It just depends on how things end up shaping up in your matchup. Probably, if they're not bringing out bombs, this card's gonna carry you to victory with the ability for it to basically die and then make a 3/3. So it's a 5/3 that becomes a 3/3 for a total of 6 mana. It's a pretty good card. So. Aggressive Negotiations, 2 and a black. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it and exile that card. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control. Not big on these cards. This card might be good in this format strictly because you can hit the giant bombs out of your opponent's hand before they're able to play them. However, you're not impacting the board whenever you do that. So generally cards like this, especially in limited formats, I'm thinking they're not great. It's usually a D for me. Unless there's some very specific scenarios. This could also be a really good sideboard card for like the Sultai decks. So right now I'm just going to go with a D on this one. I don't think it's playable in Standard either. It's probably an F in Standard, to be honest. Alchemist's Assistant, lifelink 2/1 for a 1 and a black lifelinker. Renew for 1 and a black. Exile this card from your graveyard. Put a lifelink counter on target creature. Activate only as a sorcery. This card is going to hose your red aggressive deck, I think. Almost straight up. If you are capable of playing this out on turn 2, getting in a hit with it, then trading it off, it's already gained you 4 life. If you're able to put that counter on a flyer or an unblockable creature, you can just gain an infinite amount of life and value, and you're just going to outrace any of these fair aggro decks that you're playing against, like let's say a white-green deck, or any of the extremely fast decks you're playing against, something like a red deck or a red-green, red-black, whatever it might be. They're not going to be able to keep up with the lifelink that this thing can produce, the life gain that this thing can produce. I'm going to go ahead and give this a B+. I think that this is if you don't have a good rare, and you don't have any good removal in your pack, I think that this is where you'd want to be. It's the best bear for value, one of the best bears for value that I've seen in current formats. So I think that this will come out swinging and ruin games for people, to be honest. If it shapes up to be any sort of an aggressive format, this card's going to hose aggressive decks for sure. Next up, we have Alesha's Legacy. 1 and a black. Target creature you control gains Death Touch and indestructible until end of turn. I do like these cards. They tend to be really strong combat tricks. They don't get around exiles. They're normally 1 black, I think, for like an indestructible, or 1 black just for Death Touch and maybe +1/+1. This, you get the best of both worlds. Your creature will kill their creature and it will not die. This will be for sure a playable combat trick. People will be playing around it though, so attacking into things or doing things like leaving this up and having it be your only play is probably not the best value you could get. So this card will be a blowout in a lot of scenarios and just straight up win you games though. So you need to take both sides of this card into comparison. It can be really not that good when you can't get them to block the thing that you want, or it's not just a straight up removal. But if you have a card that's on the board that's a bomb, and you untap and you have this up and open, and you just keep this up and available, not many things are going to be able to kill that bomb. So this card will carry you in certain situations. I'm going to go ahead and give this a C-. We'll slap a C- on this one and move on to the next. Moving too fast there. Avenger of the Fallen, 2 and a black, Death Touch. Mobilize X, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. This is good. Very strong. Stat-wise, it's a 2/4 for 3. Already above. It's a Death Toucher. It blocks and kills and attacks anything. Anything that it attacks into will die. Making an insane amount of 1/1 warrior tokens potentially for all of the added benefits that Mardu has for you, either creatures entering the battlefield doing damage. This is going to be insane in the black-red deck, I know that much. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a A-. Might be a little high on it, but it's going to come down. It's going to require, most of the time, 1 very strong removal or even 2 cards to trade with it. And if they're doing double blocks, this thing kills both creatures since it has 2 power instead of 1. I would think that their card like this would have 1 power in case they are forced into double blocking it. But it is what it is. It is where it is. So I think that this card is an A- for sure. Could see play in Standard. Even it's a pretty good card. So keep your eyes on this one. Caustic Exhale, 1 black. As an additional cost to cast this spell, behold a dragon or pay 1. So basically costs 2 mana. Target creature is -3/3 until end of turn. That's very good. This reminds me of the card from the original Zendikar, which was the... Let me see if I can pull it up over here. It was in the Zen. It was around when Zendikar was popular. Way back, the original Zendikar. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to find it, but it was just 2 black. Give a creature -3/-3. This is basically the same card, but you can cast it for less. So this is actually one of the strongest removals that I think we've seen in Standard in a long time. Generally, you're not going to be capable of dealing 3 damage, or -3/-3, however you want to look at it, for 1 mana. So this is extremely strong. This is probably going to see play in Standard, and it's definitely going to see play in Draft. I'm going to go with the flat B. I think a flat B is fine here, just because it doesn't deal with the massive threats that are in the format. But if you're dealing with aggression, this is exactly the card you want to have in your hand. So, solid card. Corroding Dragonstorm, 1 and a black. When this enchantment enters, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Okay, Surveil 2. When a dragon you control enters, return this enchantment to its owner's hand. So this is almost like a black lightning helix that you can recur for free. If you get multiple copies of these, I could see this card being really good. Your opponent's probably not going to put out enough damage to actually race this card. If you're capable of running one out on turn 2, then on turn 3, and then you play a dragon on turn 4, trade with their board with the dragon, trade it off. Next thing you know, you're coming down with 2 more of these. Your opponent's already... You don't even have to trade the dragon off. You could use it as aggression. You're coming down with 2 more of these on the following turn. You're already up to 28 life. Your opponent's down to 12. So multiples of these I could see being pretty scary and annoying to deal with, especially if they have a way, if the deck has a way to finish you off, or if they can just keep drawing dragons, you're going to die. I think that this is mediocre for any kind of constructed format. Not even mediocre, probably bad, actively bad for most constructed format. I'm trying to be nice to this card. However, I think in Draft, this card's going to be a B-, or I don't even know if I want to give it a B-, just because you're going to have to jump through some hoops. You're not going to want to play it in every single black deck that you're playing. Let's say you're playing any black deck, you don't just run this probably. So maybe a C. Maybe just a flat C. C is fine. I do think that this card will just carry some games somehow. It's just one of those annoying black enchantments that you were all used to dealing with, draining us for like 4 mana. It just comes down a little bit earlier, which makes it kind of interesting. Usually they try to poke through as little bit of damage as possible as they can, or as most damage as possible as they can in the beginning, and then they end up playing those drain you enchantments for like 4 mana, 5 mana, and try to get the win through that. But this is going to come down a little bit earlier and throw off their curve, so we'll see how this one plays out. Cruel Truths. 3 and a black, surveil 2, then draw 2 cards. You lose 2 life. Very easy, very, very simple, very straightforward. It's an instant speed. Read the bones, right? Well, except for it's not scry 2, draw 2, you lose 2. It's surveil 2, which is kind of, that's actually better, right? In most scenarios, I think surveil is going to be better for you. Yeah, I think that this card's good. It might see play. I don't know if I want to call it good. I think this card's good enough. I think it might see play in standard in like a 1 or 2 of, maybe, potentially. I don't know what the other draws they have for 4. I think they do have a better draw for 4. They can draw 3, discard 1 maybe, not lose 2 life. So this does get you to peek at 1 additional card because you're looking at 4. So that could be better there. It's also an instant speed. The other one is an instant speed as well that I'm thinking of though. So we're just going to go ahead and give this card a a C minus. I think you'll play one in draft, maybe. But if this is all you're doing on turn 4 and you haven't really kept up early game, you're just going to lose the game. So give it a C minus if this gets played in the right deck and people figure out a good control deck that they can brew in the format, multicolored. That usually does happen. So this could see a decent amount of play. Something like Sultai mixed with... What would you do? Sultai mixed with Temur? Yeah, just no white control. It would be interesting. Delta Bloodflies, 1 and a black. For a 1/2 flying. Whenever this creature attacks, if you control a creature with a counter on it, each opponent loses 1 life. This is pretty good. It would be better if it said you gain 1 life as well. But, you know. This is basically going to count as a 2/2 flyer for 2 in most cases. It's going to trigger anything that triggers off life loss scenarios. You can put the counter on this creature, so that's also good. It synergizes well with the alligator we saw earlier that can put a counter on anything for just 1 singular black. There's a lifelink counter that we saw earlier. There's a lot of counters out there, so this thing is going to be a little pest. No pun intended, because it is an insect, but I'm going to go ahead and give it a... I think a C plus is good. I think this will see a lot of play in the aggressive decks, and you're going to hate this card. And if you can't deal with this, you're going to die. So it'll probably happen to you quite a bit, but I'm going to be interested to see it happen. Desperate Measures. Target creature gets +1, -1 until end of turn. When it dies under your control this turn, draw 2 cards. Excuse me. I'm tired and drinking my coffee. This is an interesting one. So you can use it to snipe off one of your opponent's really annoying low-costed creatures for a single black, which can be good. Or you can use it to target one of your own creatures, and in response to them killing your creature, you basically get to draw 2, replacing both your creature on the board and this card, in your hand. It may also give you enough power to turn something that was not going to be a positive block into a positive block. This card's going to see some play. I think that this card might be better in like a standard format where you can do shenanigans with it. Kill your own creature, draw 2, keep cycling. It's instant speed. It's an instant speed draw 2 for 1. There is hoops you have to jump through for it, but if you just target your own token, say you had an Elspeth on the board, Elspeth makes a token, target a creature you control, gets -1, it's going to die, and then you're going to draw 2, so you just turn a token into 2 cards. So this card's, like I said, probably better in standard. It's also going to function well with the Mobilize trait, though, so this could be really good for the Mardu deck. I'm going to say it's better in standard, though. We'll see how it turns out. You're able to snipe off things like birds and stuff like that, very oppressive, rampy threats that your opponent's going to have, Llanowar Elves, things like that. So we're just going to go ahead and give it a C plus. I'd like to see how this card is going to turn out. So interesting card nonetheless. This spell costs 2 more to cast if it targets a dragon. Destroy target creature. So this is going to be your premier removal in the format for black, I believe. So generally they get a 5 mana kill a creature spell at common, or some 6 mana kill a creature spell that has something else added onto it, like make a random zombie or something. But this one's gonna just make you cost 2 more if it targets a dragon. That's fine. If you're targeting a dragon, it's probably a giant threat anyway, and you're more than willing to pay the extra 2 mana to get rid of it. You're going to draft as many of these as you could possibly get your hands on in pretty much any black deck that you play. So I would just going to go ahead and give this card a B plus or maybe a B. B plus might be a little bit too high, but this is going to do the trick for you 90% of the time, unless you need to exile something. So very good card. We'll see how it plays out. Feral Deathgorger, 5 and a black for a Omen. This is the first Omen we've encountered in black. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature. Draw a card for 1 and a black. There's a lot of counter synergies within black. This is going to be a good card. It's going to cycle itself. These Omens, I'm really big on these Omens. I like these Omen cards. I like threat density within my deck. I like the fact that it's going to put the card back into your deck. So the other half of it's going to be a Flying Death Toucher. Flying Death Toucher is going to be insane in this format. Anything that's able to clog up or even get through in the air is going to be what wins you a lot of your games. You're going to have these giant flyers against you, so this thing being able to trade off with anything is pretty good. When this creature enters, exile up to 2 cards from a single graveyard. That part's not too impactful unless you're counting the renew cards. You're playing against Teamer. There definitely are things that you can hit to take value away from your opponent, but I'm going to say that this is a little overcosted at 6 mana. People are going to be playing much larger bombs, but it is a pretty difficult threat to kill at 5 toughness. So we're gonna go ahead and give this card a C plus just because it's an Omen. I think any Omen card, I think you'll just take this, you'll draft it, you'll play it. You're happy to just put the counter on something, draw a card a lot of times. The fact that it's sorcery is a little bit meh, but it is what it is. Gurmag Rakshasa, 4 and 2 black for a menace 5/5. When this creature enters, target creature an opponent controls gets -2/-2 until end of turn, and target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Anything that has a enter the battlefield effect in limited is generally insane. This one's going to come in and probably just pick off one of your opponent's bears, or if you're lucky, it could kill, Anafenza. So look out for that. This thing's strong. It's going to allow you to probably get in with another one of your creatures with a +2. I don't think that this is going to come down early enough to have a very massive impact on the format at 6 mana. It is a menace creature, so if you're playing the game where you're just trading off cards and you have all of those single target removals within your deck and you're playing black, if you can get this card to stick, they probably don't even have 2 blockers or 2 blockers that want to deal with this thing. So it could just, it might even kill one of the blockers when it comes down. So this could just be a game changer for you. I'm going to go ahead and give this card a C. I might be overrating this card. I'm actually going to give it a C+. I might be overrating this card. It's 6 mana for a 5/5. So, especially in this format. It does have an impact as soon as it enters, which you kind of need for one of these cards to even be considered to be that high. So, we'll see how this plays out. The impact is not that great, though. Normally, I think you would even maybe get a kill or a bounce their creature. If you're playing this in blue, this creature would just bounce their creature off the board. So set them back, time walk them. So, hey, thank you for the raid. I appreciate you. Hello. Let's see here. 100 Battle Veteran. On to the next one. 3 and a black. As long as there are 3 or more different kinds of counters among creatures you control, this creature gets +2/+4. You may cast this card from your graveyard. If you do, it enters with a finality counter on it. So this is really good. Definitely interested to see how this plays out. It's just a straight up 2-for-1. Any way you slice it. It's a little overcosted for a 4/2. But you're probably never going to trigger the 3 or more counters thing. If you do, that's probably GG. You like the name? I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, I used to use it for random characters on like WoW and stuff like that. It was Skibbity Doo Bop, Bibbity Bop Bo, but we changed it up. We like to have fun, keep it fun. You know what I mean? Can't take it too serious. I think that this card's going to be good. I think that it's automatically a 2-for-1 no matter which way you slice it. You're going to be able to cast it again. It could potentially, when it comes back, um, help you with triggering the 3 counters portion of it. I'm going to give this card a B minus. I think you'll want to pick this card up higher. More people will be looking at it. So this card will be good. Pick it up when you see it. Pick it up early. It'll be taken. So Kintree Nurturer. When this creature enters Endure 1. Let's see here. Put a +1/+1 counter on it or create a 1/1. So it's either a 3/2 lifelinker or it's a 2/1 for 3 with a 1/1. I think this is a really good card. I would play a majority of the copies I get of this. This is going to just like clog up the board, get you to your end game. These are the kind of decks that I like to play. I generally play control-your decks, if that's a word. Control-your? More control-y decks. So this is where I would like to be. It's going to come down. It's going to create 2 separate blockers. You're going to gain some life, so it's going to buy you some time to get to that end game card that you're going to cast that's going to turn the game around for you. I think that this is going to be a C. It could be a C+. It's a very good card. Good common. Pick it, play it. Krumar Initiate. 1 in a black. X in a black. Tap. Pay X life. This creature endures X. Activate only as a sorcery. Is this the one that... Yeah, so this is the one that you could play on 2. And then on turn 3, you can activate it to make a 2/2 but lose 2 life? Yes. I think that that's going to be what this card is. Like, just infinite bears. However, I don't know how good that's going to be. You're going to be losing 2 life every turn. You're going to be tapping out every turn. It reminds me of Pack Rat in a weird way. I think you might see people play this card and try to go all in on it. If they're curving out just lands, you know? I don't know. This card could be alright. The real good part about this card, I think, is that you'll see people pay X in a black, tap it, pay whatever life, and then they'll put the counters onto a flyer or an unblockable creature and swing through for the final amount of lethal that they need. And it'll just sit there and be a bear until then. I don't think that people will be activating this card too much, but I think that you could put some speculation on people trying to all in this like it's a pack rat. I'm interested to try it. I'll try it a couple times, both ways. I think it'll just be a 2/2 that hangs out, does 2/2 things on your board, attacks, blocks, trades, whatever you want it to do. And then eventually, if you can, produce an unblockable or a decently sized flying creature, you can just throw some counters onto it, and then it becomes an ultra threat. So, solid card. I think it's a B. I think at the floor, it's still a 2/2 that can make 1/1s and infinite blockers and random things like that. So I think the floor is like a C minus, but I think the ceiling is like, if this thing is good and the ability for you to run away with the game with it is good, I think this card could be an A minus. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to put it closer towards the bottom just because I think it's going to hang out like a bear. So I'm going to go with like C minus, C. Nightblade Brigade, 2 and a black, Death Touch, mobilize 1. When this creature enters, surveil 1. I'm not too high on this creature. I think you're going to be wanting your Death Touchers to be in the air. You're going to be dealing with lots of large dragons. This thing attacks for 2, which is interesting enough. It's going to get through most of the time because they're not going to want to block it since it is a Death Toucher. And when it does enter, you're going to get a little bit of value, off of the Surveil. I don't think this card is too good. If the mobilized decks, like a black-red mobilized deck, is very popular, this card could be very good. I just don't see it doing enough damage for your opponent to be completely afraid of it. It's only potentially 2 damage a turn, and there's ways for you to deal with this creature for sure. So we're going to go ahead and give it I want to give it a flat C, just because the Mardu decks and just the red-black deck could definitely utilize the mobilize effect, and this is one of the better creatures to curve into that's going to produce you a token every single turn. So, hey John Exon, how you doing today? So, Corsi Revenants. So this is what I'm talking about. You want your Death Touchers to be in the air. You want them to trade off with these giant dragons. So this is a flying Death Touch lifelinker. It's a Vampire Nighthawk on steroids. So he's still a vampire. He still costs the same amount of mana, but he has an additional power, and he's a rare now. So then he also gets this cheeky new effect of 2 into black. Exile this card from your graveyard. Put a flying counter, a Death Touch counter, and a lifelink counter on target creature. Activate only as a sorcery. This card's going to see play in Standard. It's going to see play in Draft. It's going to see play potentially even in up to Modern, you could say. It's just a good card. Vampire Nighthawk saw play in so many different formats in its heyday, so I definitely see a better version of Vampire Nighthawk seeing some play. So I would count on this card being around in Standard for the next few years, so keep your eyes on it. I think that it is probably a A- bomb. I wouldn't say it's an A or an S tier bomb even. I think it's an A- bomb. It's going to come down, it's going to trade, it's going to produce another card that can trade, which is also very good. It's going to just gain you so much life as well if they don't have another flyer that you could run away with the game if you're playing an aggro deck. All around good card. So, how you doing today though, John? Hanging out, watching the set review? I'm just trying to finish up the set review before these things, or before it goes live on MTGA tomorrow, I believe. That's what I read. So, I wanted to go ahead and run through the cards. The cards are still pretty fresh to me. Trample Decayed for Cursed Rakshasa. I remember the old Rakshasa Death Dealer. So 1 in a black, Decayed. This creature can't block. When it attacks, sacrifice it. Renew for X and 2 black. Exile this card from your graveyard. Put a Decayed counter on each of X target creatures. Activate only as a sorcery. This is good. It's not a giant bomb as most mythics can be, but it's going to come down for 2. It's going to attack, get through, go to your graveyard, and then it's going to remove something. So it's solid. It's going to make it so that they can't attack with their biggest creature. It's going to hit them for a little bit. I don't even know if this is where I want to play in draft. You don't really want to play a creature. It's just going to kill itself, and you can't guarantee any value out of it when it's played or when it attacks. It doesn't really have any true threat level. So I think that I'm going to go ahead and give this like a C, a flat C, and hope that it can prove me wrong. Next up, We have Salt Road Skirmish for 3 into black. Destroy target creature, create 2/1/1 red warrior creature tokens. They gain haste until end of turn. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. This is pretty good. It's going to remove their biggest creature, create you 2/1/1 hasters, and what else do you really want if you're trying to play an aggressive deck? So this is going to be one of your more, I wouldn't say premier removals. I think the other removal that was a 3 mana destroy anything at instant speed, unless it's a dragon you have to pay 5, is better. But this could just win you the game if you're playing aggro. You're playing red black, the creature that whenever a creature enters, you get to deal 2. So if you have that creature on the board, you remove their largest or only blocker. You then get to create 2/1/1 red warrior creature tokens. They deal 2 damage when they enter. They get to attack, deal another 2 damage, or deal another damage, excuse me, a piece, being totaling up to 4 damage from just these tokens that were attached to a card that you used to kill a creature for 4 mana. So it basically was 4 damage for free. So this card's good. I think it'll see play more so in the aggressive decks, which is kind of weird. You don't normally hunt down these removal spells, but the fact that it has the 2/1/1 warrior tokens on it makes it a hybrid spell, I think, where you're going to be able to use this for aggression as well as destroying your own creature. I can't wait to kill one of my own 1/1s to make 2 1/1s so that I can get in for exact lethal. I already know it's going to happen. It's going to be fun. This is going to be a good card. This card's in the proper aggressive deck. This card's definitely a B+ first pickable in red black, I think. So keep your eyes on this one. Sandskater Outrider Menace for 4 2/1. What? When the creature enters, it endures to. Okay, so that makes it better. So technically, this is going to probably come down as a 4/3 Menace for 4. Not the highest on that. It is what it is. Or it's a 2/1 Menace with a 2/2 next to it. So it can potentially attack while leaving a blocker back to trade or preserve some life. So I think this card, I'm going to put it pretty low. I'm going to say it's like a C, potentially. I don't even think it's a C. I think it's probably a D+. I think it's a D+. I was going to go C-, but I think it's a D+. I don't think I'm going to want to play this card too much. But we'll see how it pans out. This guy, Scavenger Regent, 3 and a black. Each non-dragon creature gets -X/-X till end of turn. That's the Omen portion of it. So this is a board wipe in black. Very strong. But it does only hit non-dragons, so you're going to have times when your opponent has dragons on the board. You cast this, you don't kill everything. You're going to just die to their dragon. But if you just want to play it as the flying 4/4, it's also very good. Because when they have to target it to kill it, if that's what they're in the market for, they have to discard a card. This gives me Thought Knot Seer vibes for its mana cost as well. We'll see how good this card is. This card's probably just going to be a straight up bomb. I'm going to give it an A. But it's a board wipe. However, I do think that it's going to get you with its claws that it doesn't kill dragons quite a bit. But it could be a one-sided board wipe. You could have a dragon on the board, and then you could just wipe everything else off. So this one's good, solid. You're not going to get a better value on flying other than in black, being such a large creature, attack power body. And yeah, this is first pick every time. Every time, 100% of the time. Nah, I mean, there might be, you'd probably take Ugin over it. There's other cards you take over it, but this is in my pack. I'm looking to pick it. I'm staring at it the entire time. Next up, we have the Sib-Sig Ceremony for 3 black. Creature spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Whenever a creature you control enters, if you cast it, destroy that creature. Then create a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token. I don't like this card. Not a fan of this card. It's just going to turn all your bombs into 2/2 black zombies. I want to give this card like a legitimate D minus. I don't even know where it could be useful other than maybe in some kind of weird constructed situation where you're just casting 1 mana 2/2s. You empty your whole hand for 1 mana 2/2s on the following turn. I guess that works. I guess. But there's definitely some standard shenanigans here because you can get around whenever you cast it. You can just, any way that you can bring them back from the graveyard to the battlefield, any Burial Rites style effect, anything like that would get around this. And, it would make it easier for you to put that card into your graveyard. So this could be interesting. Could be interesting in standard in like Burial Rites or graveyard-centric deck. So we'll see. It's a DC Regent of the Mire. Tap, sacrifice a creature you control with mana value X other than Sidisi. Return target creature card with mana value X +1 from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. So it's a much worse Birthing Pod. I'm not big on this card whatsoever. I think this card's not going to be good in Limited. I think this card could potentially see play in Standard. I'm going to give it a D. I don't think you want to pick this card. Yeah. Enjoy. Sinkhole Surveyor, 1 in a black, flying. When this creature attacks, you lose 1 life, and this creature endures 1. This is a really strong card. I'm down to lose 1 life of mine to deal 1 damage to my opponent in almost any scenario, especially if it's making a threat on my board larger every turn. So this is just a flyer that's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger every single turn. The issue with this card is you kind of want to see it on turn 2, or else it's not as good. That's about it. If you're curving into this, or if you're that lucky Magic player that always has their horseshoe, someplace where the sun don't shine, you might as well just play this card whenever you see it, or pick it whenever you see it. It's going to come down and it's going to carry you throughout the entire game. They're just not going to be able to kill it after it attacks for a single time. The toughness going up to a 2/4 after a single attack is massive. If you don't want to put the counter on it, when you attack with it, you can then start making infinite blockers instead if that's something that you're in the market for. This card's just nuts. So keep your eye on this card. If you see it, draft it. I would say play it. Again, the only weakness this card really has is maybe coming down on turn 3 or 4 and not being able to start to, snowball itself. This is a very snowball-y card. You play this, they don't answer it, they lose. So you can kind of put your opponent in checkmate on turn 2 in a lot of scenarios, I would say. If you wait till if this thing attacks 3 times in a row, and you're now on turn 5 or 6 of the game, this thing is now at 4/6, and there's, they're going to be using one of their best removals in their entire deck to deal with your 2-drop, and it's not going to be good for them. Strategic Betrayal, 1 in a black. Target opponent exiles a creature they control and their graveyard. I hadn't seen this card yet. This card is good. There's been a lot of stuff that I've been talking about exiles. There's creatures that you don't want to have die a lot of time. So this is rather interesting. However, you don't get to choose the creature that they're exiling. They can exile just a random token if they have a plethora of them on their board. So I don't see this card being too good in the limited format. I think this might see some play outside of the limited format in Standard. So I just don't think this is going to be too good unless people are playing the super control-y decks where they're only trying to play out, 1 giant dragon and a bunch of removal spells. That 1 giant dragon's just going to eat it with this. So if you're running into that, I'm not sure what it would probably be. Sultai or Abzan even that this would potentially be useful against. You'd play this against Abzan for sure almost every time If you knew your opponent was Abzan, you'd play this. Just because you're the mana value would probably trade up every time. The fact that sorcery speed kind of sucks. I think that this is a C minus. I think all the other removal we've seen in black is just better. This is good, but it's just the other removal's better. I feel like this card should have target opponent exiles a creature or planeswalker they control, and their graveyard maybe. But I don't know. It is sorcery speed. I don't know. Could be good, could be bad. So, Unburied Earthcarver, 1 and a black. Pay 2, sacrifice another creature. Put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. These cards are pretty good. You usually don't have the 2 mana open to be just sacrificing things at whim. But whenever they target to kill one of your other creatures, you can then just sacrifice it, put counters on it. It makes them feel like they should kill this creature first, when this creature isn't really the threat. It's just, it's your workaround for their cards. So they'll feel like they have to kill this first. It also functions really well with all the tokens coming in from Mardu and all the Endure tokens as well. So this could see a good amount of play. This might be one of the better bears at common for sure. This might be the strongest bear at common for sure. It's definitely in the top 5. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this card a B+. I definitely think you should draft this card, play this card. You're gonna be able to eat the Mardu tokens as they're leaving the board. It's at worst case scenario, it's just going to be a 2/2 that sits there for 2 mana. Best case scenario, you're able to dodge your opponent's removal and eat up tokens that you would otherwise be sacrificing to create a rather large threat on the board. So when your 2/2 becomes one of your bigger problems on the board, it's generally pretty good for you. Unrooted Ancestor, 2 and a black, flash for a 3/2. Sacrifice another creature. This creature gains indestructible until end of turn. Tap it. This is interesting. I haven't seen this card yet. It seems pretty good. It's going to work well with all the other tokens that are being created. It's going to work really well when you're attacking. So if you attack with this and other tokens that were created, you could then they can't block this because it's indestructible. This card's going to get through a lot. This card's probably going to finish games. It's a flash blocker that you could then make indestructible on turn 4. So you could do some pretty interesting combat tricks with this. For sure, it's going to be more useful to players that have some have more experience playing the game. There's just a lot of different ways that this card can get utilized, and for that I think it's going to be a B. It's just going to be able to flash and block, make itself indestructible sometimes. It's going to be able to attack, get through, unless they're able to have a blocker that has more than 3 toughness. So this card's pretty good. If you are able to put like the lifelink counters onto it, death touch counters onto it, flying counters onto it, this card becomes a really big nuisance. So definitely keep your eyes out for this. This is one of the stronger threats I've seen at Uncommon. Venerated Stormsinger, 3 and a black, mobilize 1. When this creature or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. I really like this card. Really like this card for mobilize. It's just the fact that this card doesn't say non-token creature, it screams play this with mobilize. Play it, let your mobilized creatures die every turn when you attack, and you're going to just start draining and gaining life. This card's going to sit there and just win you the game in a lot of scenarios. It does only have 3 toughness. It dies to the -3/-3 removal within the format, but I think it needs to. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and give this I want to give it a B, just because it could die to so much, but this is going to win games for sure. You're going to play this, you're going to have a bunch of creatures on your board that can already produce mobilize tokens. They're going to attack, and this card could potentially win you the game on turn 4 if you played out enough mobilized producers and threats turn 1 through 3. You just attack, and then you get 2 threats that are just going to die, and then they hit, they drain for 2, and you're just profiting the whole time. It's going to be a really strong card. Whale of War, 2 into black. Choose one. Creatures target opponent control get -1/-1 until end of turn. That's pretty good. It's going to be able to wipe out all the tokens that are coming in. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. That's also a good dual mode. I think this is better than what it might look, but it's weird that it's in black. This is probably more of a Sultai card almost. Being able to do like a one-sided board wipe, because Sultai is going to have mostly creatures that are going to have more than 1 toughness. So you're going to be able to kill a lot of like the smaller creatures in the format, especially red or blacks. Red, black, whites creatures. So if you're playing against Mardu, that's when you want this Mardu looking card. So this is going to be pretty decent. I don't think it's too strong. -1/-1 is not too much, but the fact that you can dual mode it and get cards back from your graveyard, you're kind of in the market for that a little bit. It's a little bit overcosted for it, but it is an instant speed. So I think this card's like a C-. I don't think it's too good. I think you'll want 1 in most of your like Sultai large threat decks. So just so that you can play it and potentially get them with the -1/-1, or if you're getting into the late game, you can stabilize by getting 2 of your larger threats back from your graveyard. Worthy cost, 1 black. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Exile target creature or planeswalker. This is gonna be. See, I was gonna say this is gonna be a good card, but it's sorcery speed, so I don't know how well this will play out. This is gonna be good enough to be played in almost every single Mardu deck you have, just because of the amount of tokens you're gonna be producing. However, you won't be able to sacrifice the tokens in response to them being blocked or anything like that. You'll be able to target them after combat to sacrifice them before you sacrifice them at your end step. So this is going to be useful for sure. It might just be one of those cards that you see some guy in your game store that's got an Ugin or open an Ugin. You're like, well, I got a main deck that I should just main deck this anti-planeswalker card. You know what I mean? He plays it, I'm gonna lose. This card could also hit anything else on the board to kill it. There's enough cards in the format that just produce an additional token, so you'll be able to. Let's just go back up here real quick. Where is he? Where's this guy? Yeah, see, this guy would be able to do it. Where's the 2/1? This guy would be able to make it. This guy would be able to make you a unit. This guy is who I was thinking of. So he would come in. He's a 2/1 himself, but he would also make you a 1/1. You could sacrifice the 1/1. So for 4 mana and 2 cards, technically, you would create a 2/1 lifelinker and then exile their largest threat, which is either a planeswalker or a creature. So I think this is good. I want to give it a C+, just because it requires you to have a creature to sacrifice. If you're in top deck mode, you don't want to be drawing this card. You're just going to be very sad. You're going to be like, well, I could kill their threat if I had something to sacrifice. Then you have to 2-for-1 yourself. Most of the time, things that 2-for-1 yourself aren't very good. But if this is played in the proper deck at the right speed, it's just going to it's going to do that thing where it kicks your opponent while they're down already. You're going to be beating them up. They're going to be trying to play and stabilize and play one threat to block, you know, and you're just going to kill it, and then you're going to continue attacking. So that's probably how you'll play this card out. Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be interesting. I don't know if it's good. Interesting. 2/3 for 3 menace. Whenever a creature you control with a counter on it deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. I like this card. I don't know how it will play out. I'm always in the market for drawing cards. So if you can put a counter on this, it's already got menace. It's hard to block. There's a lot of ways to put counters on things in this format, especially in Abzan and Mardu. So this could just be a bomb, uncommon. Worst case scenario, it's just a 2/3 menace for 3. Best case scenario, it's a 2/3 menace that's drawing you an insane amount of cards. Because it's whenever any creature with a counter on it. So it's not like it only triggers once a turn. You'll just take over the game. I think this card's a B-. I could be wrong, but that's to be determined. All right, we're on to red. Some guy posts this thing. Try not to come in 1 minute. What the fuck? That's so funny. All right, so I am going to do this real quick. Set review opening. Do, do, do.